Her Journey to Healing, Reaching Women with a Desperate Cry is an 8-week Zoom seminar in which Kamala and Winston help women to start living their best life by rediscovering the image of God in their life. Kamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joins her husband of 16 years, an ordained pastor, to marry the clinical and the spiritual. You will begin living your best life filled with love, joy, and peace. Register at kwministries.net for this life-changing seminar.
So anxious resistant. So remember there were 4 categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anxious resistant kids were on the opposite end of the spectrum. They didn't have a lot of self-confidence. They really clung to their caregivers, whether it's parents. When I say caregivers, I mean parents, grandparents, just old people in their lives who were, really part of that initial bonding experience. For these kids, they tended to have really exaggerated emotional reactions to stuff, but they also kept the distance from their peers. How did this translate into adulthood? That translated into anxious, preoccupied adults. Mm-hmm. And so they kind of formed less secure bonds with partners and feel really desperate for love and affection.
God is patient. God is kind. God is long-suffering. God never fails. God always hopes. God always trusts. God always perseveres. God doesn't envy. God doesn't boast. God doesn't seek his own, but is always seeking what's best for you. God rejoices in the truth.
That's right.
God doesn't define love. God demonstrates love. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening. We are so grateful that you are here. If it's Monday night,
You are live with KW.
and you are live with us, we are so grateful that you could join us. It is Celebration Thankful Monday.
Thankful Monday.
What are you celebrating?
Well, before I tell them what I'm celebrating, if you are joining us for the first time, we are trying to change the language around Mondays, right?
That's right.
Mondays are usually that day where we go, oh, it's a
Monday.
It's
Not around these parts.
But no.
Because remember,
We're
we started out by
celebrating.
saying it's Monday.
Yeah. But
We're not doing that.
We revamped that.
That's right.
And so we want to celebrate because celebration is a great way to start our week. It's a great way to set the tone for the rest of your week.
That's right.
So today I am celebrating a productive day at work.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Hi, Christine. What are you celebrating today? Been a wild, crazy working time. No, Christine. No. Christine, no. We didn't say, how was your Monday? We asked you, what are you celebrating, ma'am?
We're reframing.
We're reframing the language. I got my brakes fixed. Your
brakes
yes,
fixed.
ma'am. Your brakes fixed. And I'm celebrating the member that sent the mechanic here and paid for it.
Yes.
So I'm very, 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 very thankful. I have big celebrations. Like, those things were gone.
Listen, I knew that. Well, if you're joining us for the first time and you're not quite sure what's going on, Monday Nights with KW is a place for us to have just a really great conversation with some great people. How did we start out?
We started out of our own pain, out of our own. I was going to say we've inflicted on each other, but I have inflicted on you some serious
You were right
pain,
the first time,
and I'm responsible for me. And out of our I have a language. Out of our desperate cry.
Yes.
And real quick, Christine is celebrating being home with her son. We're celebrating with you, Christine. Out of our own desperate cry, we say other people are going to have desperate cries. So why don't we create an institution that can reach out to people with desperate cries? We partnered with our brain. When our brain combines, we get Anarchy. And she designed our logo.
Yes.
She did everything and set us up. So that's how we're here. We have books, we have seminars, we have.
So let me help you out here as a salesperson for the team. Yes. So I want you to take a quick minute. Guess what? If you navigate away from where you are right now and you go to where I'm telling you, you will find us there too.
We're in the store.
We are on www.kwministries.net/shop. And in that wonderful shop, you will also be able to continue to interact with us, but you also have the benefit of checking out our stuff. Like my husband just said, we have devotional series, we have books, we have totes, we have mugs, we have digital media, we have all kinds of goodies in there for you. And the price is not too bad. So I encourage you to check it out.
We are excited about that. So please, we would love you to. We're excited about our new projects. We have some new projects.
Yes.
And okay, can you put up our landing page real quick? Or if not, we'll just tell you. But we're working on a devotion from the Gospel of Matthew.
Yes, we are. And we're also working on a journey to healing, a therapeutic approach,
And we're journey to healing, a pastoral approach. Now it's going to say spiritual, but we've changed it to a pastoral approach. So we're excited about those three projects.
Are. And the beautiful thing about it is if you're familiar at all with our page, you'll notice that there's a journey to healing seminar, online seminar that is available to you. And so this information that you're now seeing is a continuation of that discussion.
It's a part of that. Yeah. All right. So we're grateful that you could join us. Thank you. There it goes. There it goes.
See?
Thank you so very much for being here on tonight. Well, we are about ready to introduce our guest.
Yes.
Our guest. I have known our guest for over, we've left college for a long time. And if you believe it or not, she looks the very same as she looked in college. I don't know how Dr. Chinwe does that, but she looks the very same. And she is the very same as it relates to her personality. She's one of the kindest, gentlest, sweetest persons you will ever meet. I don't know. She has her own practice, and I don't know how she makes money. As a matter of fact, I think we should ask that.
Maybe we are exploring the world.
Right, she can decide what she doesn't want to answer. But I don't know how that woman makes, because she's one of the kindest, most gentle persons I have ever met in my life, and it gives me great honor to introduce. I don't know that I'd say we're friends. We haven't spoken in years, but I know it's somebody I respect. I know it's somebody I admire. I know it's somebody I love. Dr. Chinwe, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we're going to let her in. Anna Kay, you want me to do it? And there she is. Hey, Doc, how are you? Listen, let's start here. How do you look the same?
I don't know if I do. You don't see these little grays right here, right on the side?
Where? Stop lying. Listen, you see gray hair, mommy?
I can't see. I don't know what you're talking about.
How are you, Doc?
I'm all right. I'm grateful and I'm blessed and really happy to see you all sort of like do your thing as a unit. Honestly, it's a couple goals, really. Congrats.
Let me ask you this question. How was your Monday? No. Wrong question. What are you celebrating today?
There you go.
Yeah, man. I will say I am celebrating the opportunity to be able to take my kids swimming.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
Because if you were to have asked me whether I could do that maybe 2-3 years ago, it would have been a strong no because of just what my work and my career and like had taken me. It had really taken me away from being present with my children. And so in my new season of medicine, I am really being I'm really
intentional.
Grateful. Yes, I'm being intentional. I'm like, no, I'm going to put my time into the things that matter most to me. And today was one of those days. It was only 30 minutes, but I was like, hey, I got to do it before I got to 7 my time, 8 your time. But I was able to fit it in time for them to have their joy.
Yes.
Watch them. And then for me to still be here with you all. So I thank God for that.
Awesome.
We're grateful for you being here.
Yeah. So, I mean, so we've got an audience out there captive waiting. We have people that are going to be watching for months from now. And so we want to dive right in, exploring the world of medicine. But like with most people that we talk to, we never just start with, here's where we are now. We always want to go a little bit back to understand who Dr. Chinwe Efuribe is. I got it. What was your starting point? So talk to us a little bit about just your starting point.
Sure thing. Where to begin? I may not sound like it, but I am Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria in Ibadan, but my dad was a pharmacist, and my mom back then was a teacher, but now she is a nurse and she moved to the U.S. So I grew up in Nigeria, first of 4 children, and we moved to America. My mom and I alone moved when I was about 8.5 years old. And my dad and my siblings stayed back for about 4 years while my mom sort of prepared for the rest of the family to move over. Unfortunately, the year the whole family was supposed to move, my siblings came and my dad was due to come, but he passed away when I was 12. So from that age, my mom has been doing a wonderful job raising 4 children, Black children in America, just trying to navigate that system. But God has been really faithful in guiding her through it. And for me, I think when my father passed away, it kind of triggered something in me to say I wanted to be one less burden for my mom as the firstborn. So I was like, I started working at 15, like Six Flags. So that kind of has led me to the kind of person that I am now and how I sort of, live my life with my work. But my family, we're still close. They live in Houston, Texas. I live in Austin. And but that's my start. My start is Nigeria, and I speak Igbo, and but I've learned Spanish and French along the way. Creole, went to Haiti for naps when I was at Oakwood, to all that stuff. But yeah, but
So let's go back to Dad and talk to us. You said at 12 years old,
Yeah.
she said that she decided she did not want to be a burden.
Yes, I heard that.
So I want us to deal with both things. I don't know in what order, but I want for us to talk to us about, or talk us through 12-year-old Chinwe losing Dad and somehow transition that to how did that become I may be a burden. So at 12 years old, how did you even recognize that language of burden?
Right.
And talk to us about that.
I mean, this is a very fascinating question, because someone had mentioned me talking about my dad, and I don't usually talk about him lately, but this weekend I happened to. So the fact that you're asking me this question, I feel like I probably need to process this a little bit more. But it was, I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you how. So I think it factored into how I found out that he passed away, and sort of what that meant in what we're doing in America. Because the initial intent for my dad, he'd always had a vision for us to be in America, even in Nigeria. Like when I was growing up, he didn't really teach us Igbo in the house. He said, you guys are going to speak English, proper English. I'm going to put y'all in Catholic school. So that's why I don't really have that much of an accent, because I was speaking, somewhat of a British English when I was in Nigeria.
I hear that British. I do.
So he had a vision for the family long before we were even here. So and he would always, he would make me read newspapers when I was 6 years old. And when I would fuss, he'll say, I'll say, I don't know the words. Just circle the words and use a dictionary. Circle the words. So he taught me active reading. So
yeah,
I learned a lot of, just being able to be independent came from my dad. I remember a friend of mine allowed me to, I don't think she let me borrow it. She gave it to me. It was some old checkbook that her parents were using, but she's like, oh, you guys, you want it? You can have it. And so my dad found it in my possession, and he was a little bit disturbed. He was like, whose is this? And I don't need you borrowing things. You need to be able to be self-sufficient and, have your own checkbook. You need to learn to, fend for yourself and not depend on too many people. So I think that was a very early lesson that my dad instilled in me to learn how to really work through things. I remember one time, and these are memories, again, that I haven't had in a long time, but what I do remember of him are these, time points. And so one of the last memories I have of him was him waiting. So in Nigeria, when you move from one grade level to another, almost like going from middle school to high school, in Nigeria, we take the entrance exam to go to secondary school. And so I remember taking the entrance exam, and I had finished. I saw my dad waiting for me, by the car. And I came out, I felt like I didn't do well. He was like, you did great.
Yes. Yes.
Came out, you did great. So he instilled that sense of self-efficacy. Don't worry, you did your best. You did great. And I did, I ended up doing well. So I think that was early on, is take care of yourself, take care of yourself. And then, so the way that I found out my dad passed away, he was sick, and I didn't really know. All I knew is I came back from school one day, and my aunt was there, and she said, well, your mom had to go back home to go visit your dad. And I said, oh, okay. In my mind, I was like, oh, she'll be back, in no time. But she was there for 3 months. And this whole time I was praying for 3 months for God to heal my dad this whole time. But I didn't know that by the time she got there, he literally just passed soon after she arrived. So she stayed there, taking care of, preparations for his burial. So I think for me, so she was there, and then, so we just knew she was coming back. When she came back, I was upstairs, and then I saw all these people coming to the house before she had arrived. And I was like, why are all these people coming to the house? She's just coming home. I'm sure she's going to tell us, Dad is doing well. But turns out that I realized even before anyone came and told me he had passed, I looked through the window, I saw people hugging her. I was like, oh, it looks like he may not have made it. And I think that just kind of devastated me. And when I saw people going to sort of take care of her, I think for me, that clicked in me saying, I need to take care of my mom. Like, it's weird. And I don't know. I just like, I need to take care of her. And that was it. Like, and there were times that it was a struggle because there were times I didn't come home from college because I was doing literature evangelism work so I can pay for tuition, or I was, RA. I was doing so many things so that she wouldn't have to worry about me. But I think it was just that sort of like child mindset saying, I need to take care of my mom, I need to take care of my mom. And take care of my mom, even though I didn't have anything, I felt her having 3 children was a way to lighten her load than having 4 children to worry about was the little bit that I could do. And so, yeah, so that's kind of all I can think of. This is my first time talking about it out loud. So thanks for my counseling session here.
This was good. How did Dad not getting well impact your decision to become a healer?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think in so many ways. Yeah, that's a very good one. I mean, I almost want to say it may not have.
She has me crying. I can wipe my eyes now because I said it. I'm crying. So let me wipe my eyes.
You're funny. Yeah, I think that's the thing. The conversations I would have with him were always about, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like anytime he talked to me, he was always very forward thinking. That I can say about my father. It was not enough to just do what you're doing right now. He was like, all right, what's next? All right, what's next?
I like him.
And so I know for a while, and y'all can laugh at this, but I used to tell him I want to be an actress. And he would be like, and he wouldn't get mad. Like Nigerians, like, actress? What is actress? Actress. It could be any immigrant, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so when I was here, I would watch TV and I saw like Bill Cosby. I was like, he's a doctor. He's on TV. Maybe I could be the doctor that's on TV, right? Yeah. And so, but he was very gentle in his redirection. I will always remember that. He never was aggressive. He never made me feel little. He just said, I'm glad you want to be an actress. I told him, I was like, I want to be a doctor/actress. That's what I told him, a doctor/actress. And he said, okay, well, try to think of the doctor part a little bit more and make sure you focus on your study. So he was, that's all I remember, that he was just gentle about it. But I think me watching my dad and how he worked with children influenced me to consider pediatrics as a health career. That's for sure. We were in, this again, all in Nigeria before I was 7 or 8. The children's department in Nigeria, we would have children's church separate from the major church, the larger church with the adults. And my dad always came there to give children's story, always, like very vividly. I can remember him. And I think I was proud, but he would make kids laugh and, just very engaging. And I saw, for me, healing, not necessarily in medications, not necessarily injections. It's like healing the soul. I was like, I think I want to do whatever it is. I want to do that, So I wouldn't say that later on I connected it right away, because when I entered medicine, I wanted to be an OBGYN, obstetrics and gynecology, because of Bill Cosby. I was like, I want to deliver baby. But meanwhile, in classes, I was thinking OBGYN. In my regular world, I was always in children's ministries. I was started doing children's story. I was starting doing like vacation Bible school. I was doing that naturally. And I remember vividly my second year of med school, during a delivery, I kept seeing that they would take the kids a particular place. Like
I love this. I love this, Doc. I love this. Go ahead.
Where are they going?
Yes.
like the babies are being delivered and they're going.
That's good. That's good.
I want to go over there because you clean them up, resuscitate them, and wipe them. I want to go over there, and that's how I switched from over to pediatrics. And then it just became more natural because even when I was in med school, I was doing youth ministries. I was children's youth director, not choir director for 7 to 9 year olds, and I would do AY stuff. So I was like, I think I just need to start to blend my worlds. And this is kind of like, we're talking about like the world of medicine. I realized that for me to be grounded, I need to not like have isolated parts of me. I need to find a way to kind of blend them together. And so that's, what not just had me go into pediatrics, but also led me to adolescent medicine. So I did a fellowship to learn how to work with youth and young adults up to the age of 25. And so I'm just trying to, bridge my world so that I'm not having to work in sort of antagonistic fashions.
I love that.
Thanks for your question.
Yes, I haven't. So you now decide that you're going on this journey. Speak to a child who is not yet. As a matter of fact, I just talked to 2 today. Oh my gosh, I wish I thought about children. I just talked to 2 today. One is getting ready to go to her freshman year of college, and one is in her getting ready to go to her sophomore year. And my daughter wants to become a gastroenterologist.
I love it.
So, right. So talk to them about your journey, high school, your journey, college, the importance of what, the importance of when, how, where. Could you have a conversation with them?
Sure thing. I love this. Mentoring is like, I think one of my superpower because there's one thing about me. Like, I feel like if I pass one space, I want the space to have like a bridge.
Hey, Doc. Doc, I'm so sorry. 1 second. I'm so sorry. Raquel Harris just said good evening. She said it a little while now. Said good evening. I'm Marilyn Remo's daughter-in-law. Thank you, Raquel. That means that there are 6 people watching right now with this one message because, and let me so I can say this, Sister Remo is one of my members, and she's actually in the hospital with her husband, who the doctors have given 36 to 48 hours to live. And so she is there with them, and her family is there. And we stopped by, and she said we will all be watching tonight. So all right, Doc. I'm sorry. Hello, Lucinda Sykes. How are you? Thanks for coming in. All right, Doc. So you're talking to, you're mentoring some young kids now that want to be where you are.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah. So what I tend to say, because someone once told me, what you hope to be, you are becoming. And it's important to sort of listen to people around you who are seeing your evolution and your growth, because that's going to come in handy. Sometimes we don't know, like we have to look in the mirror to see ourselves because we can't necessarily see ourselves. And people around us are that mirror at times. And so one of the first advice that I usually give to the students, sometimes they shadow in my clinic or they volunteer in my clinic. I just say, find a way to track your life, whether it's through journaling, whether it's through your calendar and dates, whether it's through just people that you connect with, the stories that you share, because it's not until you sort of like make time to reflect, you need to look back and say, oh, like, how did I get here? Because that's the one way for you to be able to like learn what you need to do differently or what you need to do is find a system to track. So I will say at a very young age, I would always either have a to-do list. Before I even started journaling, I would just have like a paper that I would like write to-do lists of what I want to do, whether it's the beginning of the school year, I want to make all A's, or I want to grow my hair longer, or I want to, buy whatever. So I don't know. Again, I can't say. I want to say my dad instilled that in me or my mom, but
you read my mind. That's going to be the question.
Yeah, I'm like, I just know I've always been right, and I can find those pieces of paper somewhere in my yearbooks or things that I've just been jotting down things I want to do in my life. And it might be small things, but over time, it's important to track that because it shows the things that matter to you and how you're putting effort into achieving them. And sometimes it'll be recommendations from my counselor or from my mom or whoever, but whatever it is, I'm hearing it and it's, you know, um, integrating with me somehow, then I'm writing it as my own particular goal. So I say track it. You got to track yourself. You can track yourself through your goals, and you can track yourself through just journaling. This is how the day went. The second thing I usually talk about is where to begin. Exposure. And exposure is sort of like, unfortunately, depends on like who your parents know or aunties, and but like if you put yourself in situations that are new, or if someone says you need to meet someone, like don't shy away too much, because just that connection with that one person could be your next step up and you don't even know it. Or it could be, I'll never forget, like my mom was an ER nurse, and when I decided that I think I wanted to do something in the healthcare field, she would just like say, "Hey, you should meet Dr. Johnson," you know, or, you know. And so anyone that my parents or my mom or whoever would connect me to, like something about me being open, like, yeah, I won't say I was shy. I am an introvert. People don't believe that, but I am a true introvert. But I just make it happen. To talk when I need to, but it wasn't easy for me just to start a conversation. So I would tell these young people, if someone is connecting you to someone, please try your best, because you don't know what that person can give you insight on. That could be the next thing. Like, here's a scholarship that you should apply for, or here is a skill set that you need to have, and here's a way to learn that. Here's a job opportunity that no one knows about, but because I'm talking to you and I'm learning about your interests, here you go. So yeah, track yourself and then be open to new opportunities and new exposure, because that really makes a difference.
I want to pause you right in there before you go to your next one, Doc, because I just want to highlight something that we keep coming across in every single conversation, which is the importance of people, relationships, connections. And here you are saying it again in a different context.
And from a young age.
Yes. But who am I connected with? Yeah. And just recognizing the value of people. Yeah. So I really appreciate it. I wanted to highlight that. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's good. Community is big. Community is big in so many different ways, because so that's that. And then the last two ones could either be about how you deal with failure, how you deal with setbacks. Because, a lot of us don't do things because of fear of failing, or when we fail.
I'm telling Ariana to come on right now.
Or we stay, if we fall, we stay, good evening. Or if we fall, we stay really low for a long time. And, we just, we get such a despair that we are not like, what the Bible says, getting back up, 70 times 7 and all that, just being persevering and enduring. So I have them sort of like get used to that, feeling uncomfortable.
Yes.
You've got to learn how to get used to that, because it's not going to stop. Like, you're not going to, like, even if you fail, that's not going to be the only time you're going to fail in the future. So start learning more about what your options are when you fail, right?
So, Chinwe, let me ask you this question, and I'm sorry. I want to talk about your children for a second. How have you balanced that? So, for example, with our children, we have not successfully allowed them to fail, which I know is not good, because when they do fail, it's going to be devastating. So, and I think my daughter's biggest failure is she has Crohn's. So, so that would have taught her some stuff. But how do you intentionally balance that
Using opportunities of failure. For
Failure.
growth.
Yeah, talk to us about that, because
Without encouraging.
without encouraging failure.
Right.
How do you then use when failure happens as opportunities for growth? How?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very balanced approach. Well, it requires a balanced approach
Right.
to allow for we call it a progressive autonomy, because there is that sense of, oh, you're a young person, you don't really know, so I'm going to kind of give you the sight of like what you need to do, and here you should do this because I've been there and I know if you do this, like that kind of like planning their whole activity or daily activities of living.
Give us, Lord.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing when you have, two sort of like gung-ho and proactive parents. That's awesome. But it's like, are you giving them opportunities to make decisions that you might not necessarily agree with, but allows them to sort of like test the waters within your scaffold of safety, right? We don't want to make decisions on things that will be life or death, but it's like, okay, if it's not going to kill them, to what extent do we recognize that it may not necessarily be the best decision at this point, but the fact that they're the ones making that decision, we are there to kind of like catch them gently. Not to say I told you so, but to catch them gently and say, so what did you learn from that? Right? Or what do we need to think a little bit more the next time you are at this crossroad to make a decision like that? But I am curious though, I know I just answered that, but in my head, my first question was like, what do you mean when you say that you haven't allowed your children to fail? Like, and I don't even necessarily consider like having a chronic condition as a failure, because it's an autoimmune condition. Like, as if it's like tobacco, lung disease. Okay, yeah, I see that. But yeah, give me a sense of what do you talk? I know I don't want to.
Right. When I say
scaffolding is real close.
when I say, for example, Crohn's is a failure, it's not from the perspective that she did something wrong, but it's from the perspective that she sees herself as not whole.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? And for her, everything has to be whole. So, for example, she plays the piano, but oh boy, she's here. See, she's there. That's what she said. She said, "I failed at health."
Aww,
right.
You joining.
So you get it? Okay. So she plays the piano, but she doesn't play creatively. You put a paper in front of her and it's going to be a masterpiece. You tell her to go play by ear and it's going to be trying to remember what's on the paper, trying to see exactly how that would be written out, because it has to be perfect. So she's missing opportunities because of fear of failure, which is our fault, because you weren't going to fall. You weren't going to scratch your knees. No, seriously, you weren't going to scratch your knees. You weren't going to fall off the bed. Somebody's going to be there. And then it's three of us. It's not just us two. She has an aunt in the house.
Aww.
And so somebody's always there diving.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by that. And we're seeing the mistake that we made now.
I see. Yeah. I mean, there's no rule book. I mean, I tell you, I teach this thing and I practice it in my practice, but in my house, it's real. I have a 10-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old son. And they're like this level of perfection that our kids have. It's hard to sort of like beat. And sorry, I'll try not to read the comments that come up. I'll leave that to you. But yeah, I think, and then my husband and I have different ways, and our approaches are different too. So, I'm always seeing like the longer term, like, okay, no, if we give in right now, then they're not going to learn how to survive when we're not around. Right. And so it's like, how do I prepare them for that sort of like, autonomy, independence? It's a milestone, just like how we want them to start walking between ages, 12 months or 8 months for some. Like we need them to learn
to do it.
Yeah. Which is why mine didn't walk that during no time. Which is why my 5-year-old doesn't eat food now. I'm just being real with you. I know. We screwed up with our parents when it comes to that.
I know. It hurts us. And mind you, it's like us looking back to say, well, is it something that we said that we went through that we don't want to have our children go through?
I think it is trauma.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we were just. But I'm seeing some of that in my clinic, Like when young kids are not being sort of given that opportunity to sort of like, I don't know, critical think on their own in safe spaces. Then someone says failure is when you choose not to try and try again. Yes. Like honestly, like it's seeing the sort of growth in failure. Let me give you a quick example with regards to that. So it took me the longest to start my clinic because I was worried. I was worried to some degree that it was going to be too successful, that it was going to fail. But I was just worried that it's not going to be what I envisioned it and something's going to go wrong. But I had a coach that put me through an exercise, and she said, close your eyes and visualize your clinic being everything that you want it to be. And I did that. And I was like, naturally reflex smiling, all of that. As I was envisioning all like community outreach, all that. And then she said, all right, now close your eyes and think about your clinic failing. And this is before I even started the clinic. It's like a year and a half before the clinic even started. And just the exercise of me thinking about the clinic not being anything like maybe people writing bad reviews about it or me not doing the things that I wanted, just the thinking about it, I started bawling, right? I started bawling. And this is just how much our mind and our bodies are so intertwined, right? And so when I finished that, she said, "Are you done?" I was like, "Yeah." And so then she said, "All right, now think about what you're learning from that. Like in terms of your clinic failed, but is that all that you are? Like, is that all that you feel that you've been created for is just that clinic? Are there things that you were planning to do through your clinic that if the clinic fails, you could do it in a different way?" Right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so then it detached me, like it almost like freed me from this high expectation that I had that all that God is going to have me do is going to be through this one avenue. Yeah. And
and I can't hear you hashtagging anything here. And this is good stuff. Oh my gosh.
Hashtag growth mindset. Like
I like that.
It's growth mindset. It's allowing, and that's what I do in my clinic. That's part of the coaching that I do for teens when they come and we're doing all like, how do you, address anger? How do you manage procrastination? How do you, reduce self-harming behaviors? It's about your growth mindset. It's saying, is this the only path that I can think of to solve this problem? Is this the only path? And you can do your own sort of like practice to think through it before it even happens, so that when you're ready to do it, you're not so rigid in the way that you do it, And so that's what I try to do with my children, like I'll give you one example. My 10-year-old is always sort of like heartbroken when she can't stay with her friends or connect with her friends. And so anytime this play date is over, it's just before she even leaves, she's crying. Oh, this is her now. She's crying. But we're trying to work on exercises to say, yes, but let's not diminish all the fun that you had.
Right.
But then you're just like wasting all the fun, and you're just worried about something that hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
So we do, every time we do an exercise, say, let's reframe it and say, oh man, I had so much fun. Yes, I'm sad, but I can't wait for the next time we're going to meet again. But again, it's like a repetitive thing that we do so that it's less and less of an issue. But it's not easy because you don't want them to seem in distress.
I have a question that I want you to think about while I'm reading some of these comments. Did your dad, being a Nigerian dad, he didn't allow you to fail too much, or did he? So I want you to think about that. But don't answer it yet. Let me read some of these comments and then you answer it on the other side of that. All right. So Mike Blivens says, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I think that's Pastor Blivens. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
And Lucinda Sykes is actually saying that she's listening with her cousin, Marilyn Remo.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate you guys. You're going to be in for the win in a little bit. And then Mom says, I like that, doctor. Just giving the option to know you can get it wrong sometimes, but you can get up and start all over.
Yes.
And I think that was beautiful. Your Nigerian father, I know he didn't put up with opportunities to. Well, let's see. Let's get Christine real quick. One has to have an inner drive that propel them beyond failure. Find strength and be so confident that nothing or no one can make it because you fail.
No one can make it because you fail.
Yeah.
Because you feel life is not beautiful and you can't make it. So get
Right.
away
You
from
want that.
mindset.
You don't want to have that mindset. Yes,
Right.
very good, Christine. Thank you so much for that. Doc, go back real quick. And Doc, we only have 20 minutes. I can't believe this. I know we haven't, but so we'll just do a part 2 if you don't mind coming on again. But tell us about your dad and how he dealt with that, and how did you get a different mindset from that if he didn't. Because I just don't see a Nigerian dad saying it's okay. So let me hear that.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I may shift a bit because I don't remember too much of my dad and decisions.
I got you.
But with my mom, yes, that woman. Yeah, I think I learned, I perfected my failure under my mom's guidance. Because, well, I will say this, she taught me resilience for sure. Yeah, my mom definitely taught me resilience. Yeah, I mean, where to begin? Because even with when I was in school and trying to, make ends meet, and this is where I can see why parents kind of keep the scaffold a little bit close. Because
pray for us.
Because there is a slight chance that your children may or may not resent you at some point. I'm gonna be honest about this. And if my mom's watching, I love you, but but there were times growing up that because her scaffolding was a little bit kind of wide, she was always there. Don't get me wrong. When I needed her the most, the simplest things that I was like, oh, that's my mama. I'm gonna call her up and she's gonna blah, 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 blah. And she was not there. But I now look back and I was like, she must have done that very intentionally, because now she's like, oh, you want this? You want this? But I recognize her intention.
Preparing you. Yeah.
She was very good. Like that, I'm indebted to my mom for my survival skills, to be honest. So that's why I'll say, yes, it's a fine line to balance that level of, because I'll give you a prime example, and if she's watching this, sorry mom, but when I was at Oakwood, I remember, so I had gotten a scholarship, and I was about to be an RA in my sophomore year, and I needed some books, and so I think they were about $300 or something or whatever. So I had called her to get money for books for school. And it's not like she's struggling. Like she was an emergency medicine nurse, so I knew she could afford $300 for books. But she literally said, I can't do that right now. She's like, I can't do that right now. Yeah, I got this. And mind you, she may, because she had other 3 kids too. But this is my sort of like
your perception.
Yeah, this is my perception. I was like, she should be able to, but maybe she couldn't. But there were so many different instances where, like, my brother graduated and he went off, and when I reached out for her, she also, would say, oh, I don't have that, or my sister. So I was like, wait a minute, you have less people in the house and you still don't have? That's when I was like, wait a minute. There's a pattern, there's a thread here that I see. But now that I realize, because now, she's just like, I just love her. She's saved me in so many ways. Even with my clinic, she saved me. So, but looking back, now I recognize that if she had just given me everything that I had asked for, then I wouldn't have been as creative, I think, as I am now.
Right.
Surviving. Like I really thank God for my ability to adapt. Like so in my value statement, there are things that I see myself as, and one of them is I'm adaptable. And I think my adaptability came from not having like a safety net that was always there all the time whenever I needed something, because when she didn't provide for me with those books. I went and I was hanging out in a financial aid office, writing scholarship letters and trying to apply for anywhere and anybody who would give me a scholarship for stuff. So I got, the King's Daughters, big up to King's Daughters. They gave me a scholarship for the books. And then later on, I just, again, LE work, it's all kids.
All kids think their parents are.
So, Doc, we only have 15 minutes. You get to Oakwood, and so let's go back real quick. I'm so sorry. So one, your message to Ari is journal. Keep track of your life. That's number one. Your second lesson was be exposed. Allow yourself to be exposed to different people. Don't miss an opportunity for exposure. Then your third lesson, and Ari, this is when I text you and told you to come on right now, is allow yourself to grow from failure. Do not be afraid of failure, but allow yourself to grow from failure. Was there a fourth one?
I would say the fourth one, I think I wish I learned more when I was younger, because I feel I see the value in it now as I'm older, is celebrating your wins. Do not shy away from that as it being, what's the word?
Oh boy, Chinwe, we're not gonna get to the next part tonight because we're digging into we're going into that.
That's actually another hashtag.
Yeah, that's
celebrate your wins.
Celebrate your win. You celebrate your own wins.
Your own wins.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you have these people who are so talented and so gifted, and in their attempts to stay humble, and just that, the aspect of humility, you're just diminishing any good thing that you do, because it's like, I can't focus on that. I need to see where I'm in deficit. And so again, balanced approach, I think, is very important. And so in my later life, I'm really trying my best to really think about, man, I'm really good at this. Or, oh man, someone told me that I did this and that impacted their life, and valuing it, right? Because when you don't value it, you're going to continue to miss out on ways that God is asking you to be a vessel on his behalf to really touch someone else's soul. And that, again, might deprive you from opportunities that you won't take because you're, I'm not cut up. Like, again, imposter syndrome, it's real. Like, it's a very real thing.
And the greatest contributor to that is the church. We no, it's true. We teach you that you're nothing. Oh, wretched man that I am. I am nothing. I'm lower than the dirt. And I want, for anybody on here where just as a minister of the gospel, I want to apologize to you because it's not true. You were created in the image of God. You are great.
You are great.
That's not a win to celebrate.
If that's not a win to celebrate, I don't know what is. Oh man, Doc, that was healing, Doc.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the reframing of a lot of things that you've been taught growing up. Not losing its substance, not losing it, but really trying to see it in a way that allows us to really step up to God's potential for our lives. I think it's key, and it's a missing component that I feel like a lot of us have missed out on.
All they had to say was, do not say you're better than somebody else. That's all they had to say. Yeah. That was it. Don't say you're better than somebody else. That's it.
Yeah. Share light. Share light.
And
make the light open up for someone else. Because that's another mindset too. Because like if you're thinking, I shouldn't do it, so you see somebody else doing it, then you're like, so you're not going to support them. You're not going to really, and then we don't support ourselves as a community because it's just all this competition. But it's like,
exactly.
No, like if we're really seeing how this movement won't move any further without us really coming together in each of our strengths. We all have our own strengths, but it's a matter of really, asking God to guide you in it. Yes, stay humble in it, but humble with like God's strength and yeah.
Humble meaning I'm not better than someone else.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not good.
Yeah.
Just that I'm not better. that I'm not competing against somebody else. I don't find my value. Something you talked about earlier. If the clinic doesn't go the way you want it to, is that what defines you? No, this is not what defines me, but daggone it, I'm good at it.
Yes.
And that's a win, and I'm going to celebrate that win.
Yes.
Lasagna Phillips,
Elder
Lasagna Phillips has commented, and she says, young people must both value their victories and pay it forward by helping other young people obtain their goals.
Yes.
Failure builds character and prepares young people for life in general.
There you go, condemning me again. I need help. Doc, talk to us about.
We're growing from that.
We're growing. Okay. Are we doing better?
Yes. No, think about it.
Yes.
We're literally in this moment.
Okay, this moment. Okay, in this moment. Mindset. See, you've helped us. You've helped us already. Okay, there we go. We're growing from that. Yeah. All right, so we're going to start tomorrow. Doc, question. You're in college. You're in college. You're and you've been known that you're going into medicine. How are you approaching college? What is talk to our young people, Doc, about growth mindset, about the importance of not just settling. Chinwe, I never heard of you ever going to a party. I never heard of you being involved in anything you're not supposed to be involved in on campus. You went on mission trips. You were. Talk to us about it. I got it. How do we stay focused? How do we stay focused at that age?
Yeah. I mean, college, again, I'm not perfect. And so it's not to say.
Okay, Chinwe, let's be clear. Chinwe, let's be clear. You were perfect. Okay? So remember us celebrating that win that we just talked about? You were perfect. Okay? All right.
In God's eyes, by God's grace.
Now take it from there.
Yeah, I think high school, I got all that stuff out of my system in high school. But yeah, no, in college, I think the one thing that kind of kept me out of trouble was back to community, like who my peer associations were. Made a huge difference. So, and I can name a handful of them even now that we're still close. Like I see, I was like, oh my goodness! Like even my college roommate, I still talk to her every Sunday. Go Stacy. And so yeah, so the people that I hung out with, I think could either make or break my direction. And I tried my best to just be wary of associates that didn't fit my soul. So
ooh. Hold on. Hashtag beware of association that doesn't fit your soul. Hold on. What's that? What? Beware of association that doesn't fit, and I want to say doesn't. I'm in the South. I'm in Louisiana. That doesn't fit your soul.
I'm trying to short now too. No. Peer groups, positive peer groups. Let me see. Yeah, hashtag positive peer groups. That's important. But yeah, I think that because again, you're still finding yourself, you're still learning about yourself. Yes. So, I can't say, it was because I knew every single thing and every single value that I had. I identified it and I followed through with it. No, there are some things that is because, I had friends who were going on mission trips that I was like, I want to hang out with them. Right?
Yeah.
And so the activities that we were doing, I loved how we were able to rejoice and spend time helping others.
Yes.
So that's one, I think associations. And then learning to find, for me, my learning style. I talk to college students and even anyone, but learn how you learn.
Yeah.
Learn how you learn, because that will really set you up for life. I remember my first year in Dr. Paul's honors biology class, and we take notes, like he's really strict in like how he delivers information. And I remember there was another student that was sharing their notes with me, and I saw that they created outlines, like the simplest thing as creating an outline. I never knew what that was. I never knew about that. Even in high school, I just kind of like wrote. I had, maybe post-its or postcards or note cards and things. But the idea of having outlines now, I think like that. I think in I think in tab 1 and smaller tab. So learn, and then I also learned that I'm a visual learner. That I couldn't be in a classroom and just hear lectures. Like it'd just be in here and it'd go out the other way, and I wouldn't have any idea what to do. Dr. Paul, yes. I wouldn't have any idea of, what to do with that information. But if I drew it, that's why I loved chemistry. I loved organic chemistry. I loved biochemistry because they were very visual classes. You saw the molecules, you saw, the metabolism. And I was like, oh, this is how I learn. So I think when you're in college, find out what your learning style is. And some people have more than one. So it's not just one way, but just know the ones that don't work for you so that when you're there, you're not just trying to just do what other people are doing. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you, and be okay with that. And I also don't do cramming overnight. Stacey will tell you about that. They try to study at like midnight. And I was just like, y'all, this is not healthy. I can't do this. So I wasn't one of those folks that was able to cram. But yeah, so peer groups and learning your learning style, I think is important. And then back to like being able to sort of plan ahead. So knowing time management is very important. And that's another lifelong skill that will really do you well, because now I'm learning time is money. And if you don't budget your time, you're going to lose a lot of money. So, so I think for me, that was helpful. That was helpful because it allowed me to sort of like learn how to use a planner. We didn't have phones back then. Now y'all have like all these like iPhones and tablets and all that. It was just paper and, calendar and your like binder, your notebook, trapezoid or trapper keepers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the good old days.
Dr. Chinwe, our time is up. Can we, let me ask you now, will you come back for part 2? Because you will. Okay, all right. So we'll, Annika will contact you right after we're finished. Unfortunately, it's not going to be till August. No, probably not going to be until September sometime, based on your availability. But we want to, and should somebody not show up and they tell us in time, we'll then contact you to see if you can fill in the. But we want to ask you. I want to stay some more in college, of course. I want to stay some more. Then want to talk about MCAT, how you prepare for that. I want to go to med school. I want to talk about the different, and then we want to talk about, then we come into medicine and versus research. Because one of my big things that I want to talk with you about is why aren't we finding a cure for Crohn's instead of just medicating it? So, we're going to argue there. So I'm looking forward to our second go around. I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Absolutely. This has been such a great discussion. Something that I was thinking about that I also kind of wanted to hear about. We've talked about a lot of great things tonight. And I want to hear how those things have translated into day-to-day of practice. Because you mentioned, time management, what it was in college now is time is money. And so it's the same lesson, different
stage.
Right.
Wow.
And so there's so many things that are like that in what we learned in early life. How does that translate over in your experience? That's what I'm curious about.
All right, let's see. Don't go anywhere, Doc. And once we're finished here, please still don't leave so we can just chat a little bit in the back. Annika, who won our gift tonight? And what's our gift? I think it's $25. First store, I'm not sure. But who won our gift tonight?
We are going to spin our wheel. And guys, those of you've been just chit-chatting, and that is how you get in the runnings for a win tonight. So let's see who we've got. Coming down to it. Elder Foods, you are our winner. What you want to do is head right over to www.kwministries.net/claim your prize. Should be at the bottom of your screen shortly. And just fill out your information and we will send you instructions.
Dr. Chinwe, have you written a children's book or anything?
I have not.
Okay.
Yes, I know in my future is to write a book, but yeah,
Okay.
I have not yet.
Okay. I was asking because we'd give it away as a gift. All
Oh,
right. So, Elder Phillips, you are our winner. Head over to www.kwministries. It's gone off the
Net
screen.
/ claim your prize.
And fill out that, and then we're going to get you. Well, you just go in, claim your prize, and I'll just bring it to you. We won't have to spend on a stamp.
There we go.
I'll just bring it to you at church. Chinwe, thanks. I'm sorry. I'm so
So
sorry,
much.
Dr. Chinwe.
it's
Thanks.
okay. We're friends. We're good.
Thanks. No, we're not friends. We haven't talked to you. You're someone that I admire, and I like it that way. I'm fine. I promise you. Just admiring, respecting, and loving, and watching that you're the very same kind person that you were. And that's for me. I congratulate your success. I'm happy for you. I'm cheering for you. But the greatest thing for me about you, Chinwe, is that you're the same sweet
And you too, man. You
person.
still
No, I'm
energetic,
not.
I
No.
remember.
Yeah, I'm still energetic, but that's you're so sweet.
He was all
and
over
you're so
campus.
awesome. And you've
was
never changed.
all
And
that.
thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank
No,
you.
thank you. I love y'all's ministry. I really do. I feel that it's really great to see couples work in alignment, and even just how y'all just like going back and forth and all the love and growth mindset and all like.
Oh, we're gonna fight after we get off.
But that's the beauty of it. It's like, hey, how can we sort of like work this life journey together, but also pulling from each of y'all's strengths too. So
Yes.
I love y'all's shining lights together. So praise God for your ministry, and thank you for this honor. I appreciate it.
We'll see you
appreciate
soon,
you. We'll
Annika,
see
as
you
soon as
soon.
we can. Come on, if it's Monday night,
You are live with KW.
peace.